Commission at the European Technology Chamber. She has written a book titled Understanding the Fourth Industrial Revolution and several articles. As a foreign industry revolution truth leader, media channels have interviewed her and she spoke on various conferences and events. Evelyn also received global recognition and awards for her throughout leadership as Inspiring 50 United Kingdom Award winner by Accelerate Her, who in Industry 4.0, influential voices of brand of Analytica, top 50 global truth leader on emerging technology by Thinkers 360, top 50 global true leaders on EdTech and Thinkers 360. Among the before founding Tech Award, Evelyn was working in corporate world in various sectors of the economy, such as oil, gas, corporate banking, power infrastructure, manufacturing, and real estate. Mark Kane is the CEO of 5Y ESG, specializing in data-centric holistic ESG, transforming aligned to UN Sustainability Development Goals. Previously CIO for renewable energy major operating on 5 continents, is credited for coining the term sustainable digital transformation, used to describe the transformation program that he led from 2014 to 2019, which is the ICMG Zachman Global Award for Digital Strategy to Execution in New York 2019. Passionate about sustainability, with his company, Mark focus on aligning individual pillars of ESG to overall purpose in line with the Japanese principle of Ikigai. Rudino Vincent is founder and CEO of DigiFest Global and CEO Lormat Consulting Company. Rudino started his career 20 years back when he was responsible for running HR and change management portfolio for events in the Indian subcontinent. He spent some time in the early careers years creating an interface between academic institution and HR leaders to generate job opportunities for students throughout campus recruitment. Spent over the decades in the Middle East, where he worked with the leading brand, expanding their portfolio of live engagement into global markets. Having worked across 5 continents with different ethics and cultural groups, he realized his passion for connecting people and driving and creating eco space for all. Rudino transformed his passion into reality by launching the initiative called DigiFest, or Diversity Inclusion Festival in California 2019, and then took it to global 2021 with over 18 countries participating. DigiFest is global engagement that empowers HR, diversity and inclusion leaders, and sustainable practitioners, critical in designing and implementing large cultural changes and lead and shape a future of the work in new era of business. He received 3 awards, and Rudino has a strong business acumen with the vision to connect business communities globally. He's currently based in Toronto with his wife and twins, boy and a girl. This is our great panelist today, now we are going to go to the keynote speech. Hopefully, Mark, you will be able to upload your presentation.
Yeah, if you stop sharing, I'll start sharing.
Okay, Mark, I will make you presenter.
Thanks.
There we go.
Okay. And Ned, if you can just confirm when it's appearing on screen.
Yes, it is.
Okay, super. So thanks very much for the invite today. So we're going to talk about diversity and inclusion in digital transformation. Probably the best place for us to start is let's get on the same page about what we understand digital transformation to be, because even big organizations have a different opinion of what it is. So Gartner, refer to it. It can be anything from IT modernization to digital optimization. To me, modernization, that's more digitalization rather than transformation. Transformation is very much around how we're leveraging technology to really transform our business, or in some cases, transforming business completely. If we think about companies like, sort of Airbnb or Uber, they leverage technology to completely transform a sector. So that's where it can go. the reason for mentioning that is because it is such a fundamental shift for organizations. That's why it's so important to have the culture of the organization right, and diversity and inclusion is really so key to the culture of the organization. I like Microsoft's description, sort of bringing together, people, data, and processes. Microsoft, you see later on, so they describe their superpower is very much about empathy, and that's something that is core to diversity and inclusion. So for all of the technologists here, you may well be familiar with this, this term, which is crossing the chasm, and this is something that those of us who have worked in technology have no doubt experienced. Is the challenge of adoption cycles of technology projects, of which digital transformation is a massive, technology and cultural project. And this is really, I suppose, the hook that I'd say for those of you wanting to know more about diversity inclusion, why it's so important, is it will effectively decide the success or failure of the digital transformation project, in terms of ensuring that everybody is on board, be it internally in the organization, or indeed looking beyond your organization to your customers to say, how are we going to reach beyond, let's say, those maybe the tech savvy innovators to the broader demographics of the organization or our customer base. So that is really just in terms of setting the scene. Microsoft, they really understand this very well. They talk about the importance of culture to your transformation, and their superpower being empathy, and empathy sparking innovation, and digital transformation is all around innovation. I thought this was an interesting one as well, the McKinsey study of successful digital transformations versus those that were not successful. And you'll see there, I've just highlighted in the text there, everything that's highlighted there is all around people, and it's all around engaging with people. So the success factors of those are the ones where they were using this terminology and they were following these thought processes that engaged all the employees, that had this sponsorship, and that ensured that everybody in the organization was fully engaged. That's really the difference between success and failure. So I'd like to hand over to Melina to talk to us now about diversity inclusion.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you for the invitation and the introduction. I think that, as you probably all know, diversity and inclusion is a very small fraction of the ESG criteria, and yet a very important one. And I have to admit that a lot of companies that I work for find diversity and inclusion very challenging. So what I feel is very important is, first of all, understand what diversity and inclusion is. And I think that here you can see a very good example that diversity is similar to selecting people for a choir who have different musical backgrounds and vocal ranges and abilities. But the inclusion part, which is often something that we forget, means making sure that those different voices are heard and valued, because this is what makes a good performance after all, right? So I would like to put emphasis here on the fact that we need to make sure that all the voices within a company are heard. Because what I've seen lately is that many companies hire people who come from a disadvantaged background or belong to the LGBTQ+ community and so on and so forth, but they don't really make sure that they will be equally heard. And these are the people, if you've seen them, who sit in the corner, who don't really express their opinions, who don't get invited to important meetings, and so on and so forth. So I guess if we're seriously committed in implementing diversity and inclusion within our company, then we need to take actions. We need to take actions in order to help people be visible and heard in our company. Now, if we can have the next slide, please, so we can see the benefits from diversity and inclusion. Here are the top 10 benefits. You can see you can have higher innovation, better decision making, increased creativity, increased profit, higher employee engagement, better company reputation, and so on and so forth. And I will explain more a little bit later. But if you ask me, I think we need to stop talking about this small fraction of ESG. We need to stop focusing only on diversity and inclusion and focus on a more holistic approach, which is social sustainability. And if we can have the next slide, please. So social sustainability, as I said, is a holistic approach. It's something bigger. We need to understand that every company has two different stakeholders, the internal stakeholders and the external stakeholders. So the internal stakeholders, most of the times we mean the customers and the employees, and the external stakeholders are the local communities or even society at large. So as you can see here, social sustainability, which if you ask me is the next big thing after environmental sustainability, first of all, proves that everything is interconnected, especially right after COVID. I feel that it's really obvious that we are all interconnected. We need to have those values rooted in the DNA of the company. It's not something that we do just to check the boxes on our ESG report. It's something that we truly believe in and we fight for it. And to be honest, even if we don't realize how important this is, the next generation will demand this from us, from the companies, from every single company out there. Because the millennials and the Generation Z, as I have this quote here, they don't just talk sustainability, they walk, they wear, and they eat it too. So they demand from you, from me, from everybody to be ethical, they buy products from companies who are diverse and inclusive. Otherwise, they are simply not interested. Now, if we can have the next slide, please. So here you can see some indicators of social sustainability, and I would like to explain what social sustainability is all about. As you see, every company affects directly or indirectly what happens to the employees, the workers in the value chain, and so on and so forth. And as I said, we have the internal stakeholders and the external stakeholders. So a company needs to have not everybody happy, but in order to create a balance. And this is actually what happens when you have a company that operates in a people-centered approach and not only measures its impact and checks the boxes, but at the same time, it works proactively to foster change. And to be honest, social sustainability or diversity and inclusion, which is part of it, doesn't really magically happen overnight or doesn't work by itself, but it's a part of a healthy working environment of a company that puts people and purpose in many cases over profit. So this is how social sustainability works, and it's a huge issue that we need to address and we need to pay attention to. Now, next slide, please. So if you ask me, okay, why on earth should my company do that and focus on social sustainability or even diversity and inclusion? I mean, every company right now cares or should care about environmental sustainability and digital transformation and so many new things that are happening, in the world. So it's one right after the other, and suddenly I add another pain point to your company, which is social sustainability. Well, I have pretty good reasons to do so, because as we've seen, social sustainability, a company that cares about and works for social sustainability, first of all, retains or attracts new talent. We see better employee engagement, we see increase in productivity, and if you want numbers, you can see that diversity increases financial performance by 18%. We have fewer company community conflicts. because when you have a company that is ethical, that it's environmental friendly, that it's diverse and inclusive, then you don't really have that many conflicts at the local level, especially when we talk about companies like in the oil and gas industry, which most of the times create a lot of conflicts at the local level. And of course, you can attract new business partners and investors. And I would add that you can create new business opportunities from social sustainability, and especially you can create new business opportunity by focusing on inclusion. And I want to show you two examples. The first one is, if you can change the slide, thank you. I don't know how many of you know this gentleman. He's Professor Mohammed Yunus. He has won a Nobel Award, and he is the banker of the poor, as they call him, as he is the founder of Grameen Bank, which is the only bank that provides loans to the poor people in Bangladesh. So at some point, he realized that the children, the unprivileged children, didn't have access to, better food supplies. So he went to Danone, the very well-known company, the yogurt company, and they created together a new product line of yogurts that are full with vitamins and, really important stuff that a child needs in order to grow up properly. So what he made sure is that every child in Bangladesh will have access to the same healthy food products like any other child in the world. But at the same time, they created together a new business opportunity. They reached a new market by focusing on inclusion. Another example, if we can have the next slide, is comes from the company General Electric. We all know this company. And I don't know how many of you had to get an MRI scan at some point in your life. I had, so I can assure you that it's a horrible experience. Nobody wants to go in there. And if it was horrible for me, just imagine how scary this procedure is for a child. Now, what they did at General Electric is, again, they worked in a more diverse and inclusive way. They work with engineers, they work with the marketing department and the CSR department, because as I said, this way of thinking should be in the DNA of the company, not in one specific department. And they even included many, many children in the discussion in order to come up with the next slide, with this, which is a beautiful example that shows that when you want to create a new product or a new business opportunity, you have to have everyone included in the discussion. Because again, if this was an exercise done by adults in a corporate room, it might not have been successful. They were wise enough to include children in the discussion, and this is why they succeeded. So again, this is exactly what diversity and inclusion is. I think those two examples make it easier for us to understand. It's about getting as many different options as we